Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, HaKakodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath. Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be based on this Venezuela twin earthquakes and basically the death toll that continues to rise. And this just goes to show the power of the Lord and what he's going to be doing a lot more of in these last days. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read some of this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says Venezuelan authorities have raised the death toll to more than 1,700 deaths from the twin earthquakes of magnitude 7.2 and 7.5 that struck the country's coastal region last Wednesday, according to the latest official report released on Sunday. The President of Parliament, George Rodriguez, also reported that the earthquake left 5,034 people injured, while 15,866 remain displaced, and another 22,619 are receiving care in health centers. The most worrying figure, however, comes from the United Nations, which estimates that there could be up to 68,000 people missing. The state of La area has suffered the worst casualties and destruction, prompting the government to declare a disaster zone and place the region under military control. 5 days after the quake, search and rescue operations are still underway, with more machinery being deployed and international rescuers arriving, although hopes of finding more people alive beneath the rubble are fading. One example of that race against time played out this Monday in Lamar, where teams from El Salvador, Mexico, and Venezuela were working to rescue a 21-year-old man trapped in a collapsed building since the day of the earthquake. The twin earthquakes struck on June 24th, with their epicenters between San Felipe and Yamare in the north of the country. The first tremor of magnitude 7.2 was recorded at 18:04 local time, and 39 seconds later, a second 7.5 magnitude quake hit, with its epicenter farther to the southeast. In all, the ground shook for nearly 3 minutes. The aftershocks are still rumbling through the disaster zone, as a 4.6 magnitude earthquake has been recorded in the northern state of LG. The United States has deployed aircraft, ships, and helicopters to support rescue efforts, while the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean has announced a multi-donor fund of up to $200 million for the country's reconstruction. Facing criticism that authorities have done too little, too slowly, government officials aggressively promoted their recovery and rescue efforts. Police and military officers handed out cans of tuna and crackers to hungry displaced people on Monday. In a speech, George Rodriguez, the leader of the Venezuelan National Assembly and brother of acting President Delcy Rodriguez, said electricity has been restored to 90% of the hardest hit state of LG. He added that authorities were racing to evaluate damaged buildings that still posed a danger and had set up 15 temporary displacement camps. Meanwhile, Venezuelan opposition figure Maria Corina Machado, winner of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, has signaled her intention to return to Venezuela soon to be with the affected population. Yeah, so the Lord, he brought some devastating judgment upon Venezuela. And those are part of the northern kingdom. Those are Israelites out there for the most part. But the Lord is judging the wicked of his people. The Lord is doing some house cleaning first. And that's why judgment like this happens to places like Venezuela or Mexico or Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic or Cuba, because those are Israelites for the most part. They're from the northern kingdom. Psalms 9:16. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion Selah. Yeah, and those back-to-back earthquakes, 7.2 and 7.5, which caused all of that devastation out there, that was the judgment of the Lord. That was the Lord punishing the wicked of his people who were out there in Venezuela. It's not a joke. This is not a game. The men of the Lord have been saying that the Lord was going to continue to unleash heavy judgments. And seeing as we are in the last days, these judgments were going to get more intense and more destructive and more deadly. Slovakia. Hebrews 7:30. For we know him that have said, Vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again the Lord shall judge his people. And that's what these two earthquakes were. They were judgment. They were the Lord pouring out his wrath upon the wicked of his people who dwell in Venezuela. Just like how out there in Cuba, there's power outages constantly. There's famine going on out there. There's so much chaos happening because the Lord, he's constantly judging his people. Because see, the Lord, he's doing some house cleaning first. He's taking care of his house, which is the nation of Israel, the northern and the southern kingdom. He's punishing the wicked amongst his people first, and then he's going to go after these heathens even worse. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And clearly that's what the Lord is doing. The Lord is sending out these earthquakes, and they're starting to become a lot more intense and destructive and deadly, and more frequent. Deuteronomy 32:39. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no power with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And with those two major earthquakes, the Lord killed over 1,000 people and wounded a lot of people. And they're still digging through the rubble, and they're still finding people dead and wounded. This is the power of the Lord right here. And there's simple-minded people that will say, oh, it was Mother Nature. No, this was the Heavenly Father Yahweh's doing. And all of these people who refuse to give the Lord his credit, they're going to receive judgment as well. Job 4:7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent? Or where were the righteous cut off? And the answer is that nobody has perished being innocent. So the men, the women, the children, the elderly who have died out there because of those two major earthquakes, none of them were innocent in the eyes of the Lord. Those whom the Lord did not want to kill, you know, either escaped altogether or got injured, but they're still alive. But those whom the Lord really had it out for, they died, and now they're in the spirit world. Verse 8, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. And the men of the Lord, starting of course with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, have been saying that the Lord was going to open up these judgments and they were going to get a lot worse. But nobody wanted to take heed to those warnings. And now they're experiencing what the men of the Lord were warning them about. James 4:9, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. And out there in Venezuela, there's a lot of people mourning and weeping because they lost their homes, because they lost their loved ones, because of all the suffering that's going on out there currently. And even before the earthquakes happened, those people weren't exactly on the best footing. And then the Lord hits them with these 2 major earthquakes, and there's still people trapped under the rubble who may or may not get saved, depending on how the Lord wants that to turn out. There's so much destruction. Buildings have collapsed, homes are destroyed. People have lost their loved ones. It's definitely not a happy time out there. And the Lord is going to do the same, if not worse, to other parts of the world as well. Because we are in the last days. We are in the days of vengeance. And all of these wicked people, they have to be punished for provoking the Lord unto wrath. But those of us of the hopeful elect, we know that the hardest hit places are going to be America and Israel. Because these are the 2 most wicked places on the earth. So as bad as Venezuela got it, when the Lord does finally put the full scope here on America, this place is going to catch it the worst. And Israel is also going to get hit hard. Because there's just a bunch of heathens in the Lord's chosen land right now. Wicked heathens. But these are the last days. So all the fires, storms, tempests, earthquakes, all the destruction, all the famines, the food shortages, the miseries, the chaos. This is exactly what we expect to be happening in these last days. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. Closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, the water Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Aqua, and shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathen. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, shalom.